and welcome to Good Life, the health show with me, Pooja. Well, this is a show that focuses on providing you with solutions to your health-related issues, lifestyle, and much more. Well, viewers, it appears people over 65 years of age with a coronary heart disease or hypertension are more likely to be infected and to develop more severe symptoms of coronavirus. And pre-existing cardiovascular disease and hypertension, in addition to age and diabetes, have emerged as fairly strong associates of a poor outcome in the patients with this disease called COVID-19. And to discuss on this, we have with us in studio Dr. Rituparna Borua, cardiologist from Apollo Hospital. So not to waste any more time, I'll straight away move to him and talk more on the topic which we have taken today. Thank you so much, Dr. Rituparna, for coming to our show, Good Life. And coronavirus, COVID-19, we have been talking about it, and I'm sure the people have come to know about the symptoms, signs, and now how to take the precautionary measures at this juncture. So, but let's talk about the people who are vulnerable, and we are talking about the heart patients, the ones who have hypertension, and also the diabetes. Now, let's talk about them, because they get scared when they hear a lot of news about this, that this has to be taken care, elderly people will have to take care, they shouldn't go out. So is this something that they have to take an extra care about, and what are the things that they should keep in their mind at first off, and also about their family members?
Yeah, thank you, Pooja, for bringing this question. For the common viewers, I just want to tell one thing, that we should not be panic about these things. But the science is evolving, and till now nothing is much concrete, but there is some informations are there which should be scientifically actually proven, and already a lot of discussion has been done on that.
Okay.
One important thing is that this common people, the risk of the common people to COVID viral infection and the risk of the pre-existing diseases like diabetic patient, hypertensive patient, or heart disease patient, actually they have this similar risk like the common people.
Okay, the similar risk.
Similar risk. But once the infection takes place and there is high probability of complications or case fatality in those patients who are already suffering from hypertension or diabetic or heart diseases. So the risk of infection is similar to the common people.
Okay.
Even if we are having diabetic or hypertensive or any pre-existing cardiac disorder, but the case fatality rate and the complication rate will be higher in those group of patients who are already having hypertension or diabetes or pre-existing cardiac disorders.
Okay, so pre-existing cardiac diseases, or like if a person is a heart patient, so they have to know things about coronavirus and also about like how to take extra precautionary measures among themselves. So what are those, and like if we talk about the family members to take care of them, so what would be done? Because they might miss it, so the family members can remind them as well.
The precautionary measures are already been laid down,
right?
And if we follow these same principles, like containment at home during this lockdown period, and the social distancing, and the adequate and proper sanitization of different belongings or different articles, and particularly the hands, and the duration, how much we should actually go on continuing rubbing our hands with the sanitizer. So those are very important. At least 15 to 20 seconds rubbing should be there. And if we follow this social distancing and this sanitization process, I think the risk of having the infection equivalent, like in the common people, and compared to this pre-existing diseases. So we actually should not have much kind of extra precautions. The precautions already been laid down.
It's the same with
everyone. It is the same precautions. If we follow properly, I think this is sufficient to prevent infection.
But I think the precautions should be taken to those who are going out, maybe the ones who are going out to purchase something or to bring out the necessary items, and then when they come inside or when they come back to home, so they should straight away go and cleanse themselves, or straight away take those, rather meeting the elderly people who are at home and the ones who are already having some kind of ailments. Isn't
That's
it?
true. The sanitization methods should be followed as strictly as possible. And social distancing is very, very important.
Now, if we talk about the regular medicines which have been taken by the hypertension patient and also by the diabetes and the ones who are a heart patient, so they can take it regularly. They don't have to like skip it, or they don't have to like think that is it necessary, or do I have to increase my dosage? So that has been prescribed only by their doctors.
Yes. The American College of Cardiology and Cardiac Society of India, even the European Society also, they have actually laid down some statements on that, because just a couple of days back, some concern was there that regarding the AC inhibitor and ARB, those who are taking, probably they are aware of these molecules.
Okay.
These have been commonly used as an antihypertensive molecule. So, and what actually this virus, COVID infection, actually they gets internalized into the cells by some receptors. These receptors are AC receptors, and these receptors are present in the alveoli, that is in the lung, and probably in the other cells also, like in the cardiac or maybe vascular. So, and if we take this AC inhibitors or ARB, this specific type of antihypertensive, there might be chance that upregulation of these receptors, and then the virus will be more internalized, and there will be more multiplication of the virus, and that was a concern. But actually, there is no concrete idea on that whether taking these molecules there will be some bad effects or good effects. So, but considering a cardiac patient who are already on these molecules, it is the advice that we should continue these molecules as per the routine follow. It should be continued. And but if we want to start these molecules to a patient, I think we can avoid to start this molecule immediately. We can prescribe some other molecules, alternative molecules, and then we can have some time, and then later we can start these molecules. But those patients who are already on these molecules, AC inhibitors and ARB, I think they should continue these medicines. And this has been strongly endorsed by Cardiology Society of India and other international societies also.
All right. Now, let's talk about breathlessness. Breathlessness, is it related to a normal breathlessness or a cardiac symptom, or is it because of a COVID infection? So how can people differentiate between that, and how can people come to know? Because they think that breathlessness, all kind of breathlessness at this juncture is related to COVID. So, but this is not with the cardiac ones, and not with the ones who are having those kind of problems. So how to differentiate between that?
Breathlessness, the occurrence of the breathlessness, how it is actually presenting. So it is whether it is sudden onset or it is chronic onset. So that is important. Presence of fever, and then dry cough and the sore throat and the myalgias. These are some of the symptoms of COVID infection. And you have to take the history very precisely, whether there is any kind of exposure to any COVID infection patients or any contact. The government has been doing diligent work in the contact tracing of these different types of patients. And so it is important not only to look into only one symptoms, so we should look into the multivariate kind of symptoms, means breathlessness, presence of fever, myalgia, contact tracing, or travel history, and all sorts of things. X-ray, most importantly the CT findings, CT finding of the lung involvement, and those are very important. And then natural evolution of the disease process, the time of exposure and the symptoms occurrence. So there are a lot of issues are there, and also there are some lab parameters are also there, and ECG, echocardiographic evidence, and the history, pre-existing cardiac disorders. So these are also important during the assessment of the patient, and to differentiate the cause of breathlessness, whether it is due to pulmonary disease or cardiac disease.
Doctor, you being in hospital, regularly visiting hospitals, coming across several patients. So there might be several patients who might have a notion right now and confusion right now that unless and until I have something faced as severe, then only I should come and visit hospital. Because they're talking about the ones who had a regular visit, maybe monthly, twice or thrice, but now they have stopped because they have a confusion that if I go to the hospital, the infection might attack me. So is there any kind of a notion, or is there any kind of patient you have come across who have these kind of confusions related, and maybe at this juncture they are getting scared also to go and visit hospitals or have a talk with their doctors at present? So what do you want to say to them?
Most importantly, what kind of symptoms actually the patient is having. So, and that can be done through the telemedicine also.
Right.
And this is our hospital already starting it, the telemedicine part and the teleconsultation also. And the government, according to the protocols we are following, that any COVID suspected patient we actually send to medical colleges, and then where the treatment been there.
Okay.
And we are actually not keeping any COVID positive infections. And if suspected case is there, we ask for swab testing, and then and after that we just triage the patient accordingly. And important is that regarding the cardiac patients, if the patient is complaining of chest pain, angina-like symptoms, and if the patient is having breathlessness or there's some edema like the water retention is there. So these are patients actually fall into the category of emergency patients, so they should come to hospital. And before then, if you have contact numbers of the doctors, you can directly contact over phone also. And also you can contact through tele consultation also. And one important is that being a health worker, it is also important for us that the self-protection.
Absolutely.
And in a hospital, definitely the chances of infection will be there. And this patient, so I feel that if it is an elective case or elective symptoms, I think we can treat those patients at home also, and suggesting some medicines or some home remedies or some other kind of therapies also during the tele-consultation. And those patients who need absolute hospital care, like heart attack patients, heart failure patients, they should come to hospital so that the proper treatment can be done.
And I'm sure the hospital authorities have also reduced the attendant flow also in the hospitals, because that might also create another kind of confusion around there. So that has also been done by those hospital authorities?
Yes, the hospital authorities are doing that so that the infection rate drastically declines, because it's in the midst of the pandemic.
Absolutely.
So we should take care of every possibilities to bring down the infection rate. So any social gathering, number of people, if gather, the chances of spread of chances of infection will be higher. So we must limit those activities.
All right.
And I think it is very prudent to discuss.
It's very good initiative taken by the authorities. Now, talking about the medicine which is very much in the talk, hydroxychloroquine. So everyone is having that notion that who is the ones who are in need of that. So let's talk about that, and who is in need of that actually. So let's make it clear.
Yes. We shouldn't go for any kind of controversy here, because the task force ICMR, they have clearly given the guidelines, or they are endorsing it when to take this medicine and what is the indication of taking these medicines. So they have clearly mentioned that the number one indication is that for the healthcare workers who are exposed to suspected or confirmed COVID infection, they should take this hydroxychloroquine prophylaxis. And the second indication is that the household contacts of the confirmed cases of COVID can take these medicines. But the important is that this medication should not be prescribed to a common people without doctor's prescription. The physician prescription must be there for the common people to take this medication as a prophylaxis.
All right, so it is basically for the health workers and also for the suspected or the ones
household contacts,
which
already exposed to
the COVID patient.
Infection, yes.
So that is basically prescribed for them, and other than that, no one has been prescribed unless and until doctor have prescribed you. So you shouldn't think about that, because we have seen that as soon as the news was flashed about hydroxychloroquine, and they were thinking about it. So, but basically, it is for whom and who is in need for it, that has to be taken a note of it.
Yes, I request common people, the audience, viewers, that this medicine should be taken only by the prescription that is written by a physician, and it should not be taken by yourself. And because this medication can cause little complications like different ventricular arrhythmia, and there is a possibility of death also. So it should be properly assessed before giving the medicine to this group of patients.
All right, doctor, for post PCI or post CABG patients, should they continue their medications at this juncture? So what you will prescribe them?
Absolutely. Those patients who underwent angioplasty or underwent bypass surgery, they should continue this usual routine cardiac medication has been prescribed for this cardiac disease. So we should not stop that medications.
Medication plus if you need to come for a routine checkup, so first of all you can have a word with the doctor, whoever is treating you, and then if he or she prescribe you that you should come and visit him, so there is nothing to give a second thought that you should not go to a hospital, isn't it?
So during the lockdown period, actually whenever the people or the patient call me, so what I do actually, I just try to consult over, giving the consultation over phone. So if I feel that the patient is actually actually a routine checkup patient. So I ask them to not come to the hospital. So you continue your medications, but if you feel some angina, chest pain or some breathlessness, those might be the serious problem or serious symptoms.
Okay.
Then only I advise them to come to the hospital.
All right. And now talking about the treatment of heart failure in COVID-19 infection, so what would be that? If any is having like a heart failure and need to be like got infected with COVID-19, so what is to be done and what kind of like precautions or measures will be taken?
These heart failure patients or cardiac heart attack patients, actually those are treated in the hospital. So you follow the routine treatment protocol for those patients.
Okay.
For the heart failure patient, for example, we give some diuretics. So diuretics means to wash out the extra amount of water that is retained inside the body. So we have to be careful if we in those group of patients, because our hospital is not keeping this COVID infection patients. And in general, probably we should keep a very precise look on the medication we use for the heart failure patient if that particular patient is COVID infected. And I think the routine heart failure medications and therapy can be continued in those group of patients. And if the complication arise like cardiogenic shock or this shock or ARDS, then probably we need to adjust the doses of diuretics or other medications. But the routine cardiac medications should be continued.
All right, so routine cardiac medicines, your medication should be continued, and if any confusion, they can always call up the doctor, whoever is treating him or her. So that can give you a proper like medication that what has to be done. And at this juncture of time, there is nothing to think about the confusions which have been created, and there is not to give a second thought that should I go and visit a hospital. If you are having any like a proper symptom, and if you are having like you're thinking that you should, or this is the time that I should go and visit a hospital, you should immediately go. Or if you want to have a talk over the phone, so first have a talk, because the authorities are well planned, they have well planned things, and we have seen that this kind of like numbers have been flashed, WhatsApp numbers have been flashed, and in fact the video calls also can be done so that they can also show their symptoms to the doctors presently and what they are going through, isn't it? So those things have been advanced, and if you see around you whenever you go to your hospital doctor, so there are a lot of like precaution you yourself have to take. When you go straight from your home and then when you visit hospital, what are the things which you start with? And you start your day with seeing all the patients and going through the emergency cases. So what are the precautions a doctor take when they go to the hospital?
The precautions we take that we are not going regularly to the hospitals. We always keep on some off days in between our daily visits. And then also important that we sanitize our belongings, and also actually we don't carry certain items that used to carry, like the watch and the pens. We don't carry even the stethoscope also. If we use, then we sanitize properly. 60% alcohol is important during the sanitization process. And we are very careful. We wear the N95 if required, and then we use personal protection equipments if we feel that the patient we were actually treating is a suspected case, and then we use all our protective devices to prevent infection.
Okay. So those are the things like you yourself, because you yourself have to take your extra care as well when you are going to hospitals, and because you are coming across a lot of patients and that you can't skip it, that is your job, and but extra care has to be taken at that point in time. And when again you go back to your home, that also is the time when you have to take an extra care, because you are going to mingle with your family members as well. So let's talk about the lifestyle which now the people will have to lead it at this juncture, well, how they should lead their lifestyle, talking about their diet or talking about their exercise or whatever. At this point in time, they are getting a good time with their family members, whoever is at home, and they should not be so much depressed, because we have heard that people are getting depressed about this lockdown period, what to do, what not to do. They can bring up their hobbies, whatever they wanted to do at any time of period. So what would you like to suggest?
One important information I just want to share with you, that the number of deaths because of the heart attacks or heart diseases actually been declining. In the United States, we have found it. And why actually? Probably if we go out in our routine days, so we are exposed to pollution, we are exposed to stress, we are exposed to anxiety, our work-related anxieties or other patient-related anxieties or some other activity-related anxieties. So those has been actually removed nowadays. And one important is that our food habits. Once we get contained inside the house, so we don't take junk foods. We take high spicy
Right.
foods. So actually our lifestyle being changing actually, because those are the actually risk that we used to carry in our daily in our days is so that it might increase the incidences of heart disease or heart attacks and other. So, and we spend more time with our family members, with our kids, and then the happiness around. So I think we can spend very good time with our family members. We do some immunity boosting activities like some exercise. So exercise should be carried out in a modest intensity. We should not do exercise very high intensity, because if high intensity exercise can also reduce your immunity. So moderate intensity exercise is very good. So we can have creative readings, creative activities. We can spend very good time with the families. I think we should not be much depressed if we continue to do this kind of activities and then mixed with our family members' happiness. I think we can win this pandemic.
We can win this pandemic, and we can take an extra care of ourselves and also our family members as well. All right, doctor, like there is a notion about the dietary part among the people, that what should we have at this point in time, because whenever they buy anything from the market and they come back to their home, so they have to take an extra care about that, because that has to be cleaned properly before cooking, and if it is a non-veg item, so that has to be taken an extra care about that. So people have a notion that do they should go for non-veg items or not. So what would you like to tell to them?
There are some actually these are not true. So whatever the food you are consuming daily, I think this is good enough. Already we are not having junk foods, and there is restriction of food because we are contained at home. So normal fruits and vegetables, and then daily exercises, and then we can consume protein. And then because protein is necessary for improving your immunity also, because at this present time actually immunity is very, very important to fight against the diseases. And also in COVID infection, we should not forget the other infections. So there are common flus and other diseases are also still there. So we should not forget those infection also. So normal food, healthy diet, vegetables, fruits, and in a good sanitized process if we use. And I think that is good enough to continue our health in a better way.
Right. And strongest emphasis is given on like social distancing. That is very important, and sanitization as well. So social distancing, people have a notion that social distancing means here, but at home also they think that they have to maintain a social distancing with their family members. So exactly what the term is all about, and like how to take care about that as well.
Social distancing means that you should keep some distances whenever you talk outside. But inside house, I think social distancing is not that necessary, provided this particular person is exposed to some kind of diseases and these are suspected cases. I think we can stay at home as the usual way we stay.
And a sanitization part is
sanitization is extremely necessary. Hygiene is extremely necessary. I think this is not only because of the COVID infection. This should be our normal daily process, that we sanitize our belongings and sanitize our articles, things, and in a better way to prevent infection. Because infection prevention is not against the COVID infection, so we should prevent all types of infections. So I think it's a common general process we should follow.
So it's common general things, because these are the general things which in a daily life, in our basic life, it is also very important. And not only because we are at this point in time when this pandemic is so much in and we have to take an extra care, but in your regular lives also it is very important for you to take extra necessary precautions regarding your hygiene part, and also about the dietary part, and also on your exercises part. Now there are a lot of people, they think that they can't go out for their morning walks, they can't go out because of this pandemic, and they don't go out and mingle with people, because there are a lot of elderly people who always wanted to go out and love to go out and talk to people. So I think that can be done with their younger ones at home, and they can also help them out if the other people have their smartphones, then they can have a conference call as well.
Yes,
so these are some of the other lighter note they can do at this point in time and change their thoughts, like where they wanted to go out and have. So doctor, at this point in time, self-protection for healthcare workers is also very important. You already talked about those hydroxychloroquine medicine. But health workers are a very important part of our life at this point in time. They have to take an extra care about themselves. So when you are visiting your hospitals, like you take your extra care, what about the others? What about the nurses, or what about the other health workers, be it any kind of staff? So are they taking those necessary precautions which has been fixed by the protocols?
Important is that you should keep in your mind, every health worker, that whenever the patient you are dealing with, every patient to be suspected as a COVID infections.
Okay.
So accordingly, you follow your all this sanitization process and the personal protections. And this is very, very important, because we treat every patient to be a COVID suspected patient, and then you follow all your routine protective devices, and then this wearing of the mask during talking to the patient, and then frequent hand washing and sanitization.
Because they are themselves very much around the patients at any point in time, isn't it? So doctor, we are really short of time. So on your last note, what would you like to suggest our viewers of Good Life?
We are now facing a pandemic in our life, and we are actually going through some difficult times, and I feel that we'll be able to win it quite soon. And if we follow all these precautionary measures that government has laid, and then government actually endorsing, and then social distancing, hand sanitization, and the wearing of mask in certain places, and this is very, very important. And as a health worker, I just want to tell you that every patient is my friend I used to treat. It's not like that telling the patient that don't come to hospital doesn't mean that actually we are ignoring treatment. Actually, this is for your safety also, our safety also. And we have families, you have families. We don't want any family member to be infected by this infection.
Absolutely. That's a great thought, and we have to take that note on it. And with this, we have come to the end of the show. And we hope that we were able to answer all your queries in the best possible way. And in our next episode, we will be discussing on some other health important issues. So if you have any queries, do join us next Saturday at 3:30 p.m. live. Till then, stay healthy, stay fit, and keep watching Northeast Live. Goodbye.
Thank you.